Hi everybody, my name is Mike Celestino from laughingplace.com, and I wanted to tell you about 3 new Star Wars books that I've read recently. The first one is called Star Wars: Galaxy's Edge, Traveler's Guide to Batuu. This is written by Horton, who's actually a guest on my Star Wars podcast this week, Who's the Boss, which you can check out by following us on Twitter at Who's the Boss Pod, or just follow right here at Laughing Place Twitter, and we'll link to that as well. This is presented as an in-universe guide to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, to the planet Batuu and the city of Black Spire Outpost, and it kind of goes through all the characters and locations that you'll encounter when you visit Batuu. If you visit, Disneyland here in Southern California, or Disney's Hollywood Studios down at Walt Disney World in Florida. And I think it's a great guide for anybody who's planning a trip to Galaxy's Edge. If you pick this up for them, they can read through, find out all about the land and the kind of in-universe stuff that you're going to encounter, and then you'll be a little bit more prepared on your trip. I imagine they're also going to be selling it in the parks at probably one of the gift shops in the marketplace in Black Spire Outpost. And you can see the cover here is printed in the fictional language of Arabic to kind of fit into that world a little bit better. So you can probably grab it there as well. But yeah, there's nothing about Disney parks or advice on how to visit a Disney park or a travel guide to the Disney parks in the real world in here. This is all a travel guide as though you lived in the Star Wars universe. So kind of keeping with that theme of everything being in universe in the land, the guide to the land is also in universe. And I thought that was really clever and really fun, a great read. I knew most of the stuff in here already, but there's also some hints to things that we haven't seen in Galaxy's Edge and that we might see eventually in the future. So highly recommended. Pick up Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Traveler's Guide to Batuu if you're a fan of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, or if you're just planning a visit there as well. So that's the first one. The second thing we're going to talk about this week was a digital review. So I'm just going to put the image right here. And this is called Star Wars Dr. Aphra, an audiobook original. And this is an audio play, it's got a full cast of actors playing all the characters, but the main character is Dr. Aphra, who was introduced in the Star Wars comics about 5 years ago. She first showed up in Star Wars Darth Vader and became like Darth Vader's little assistant, like errand girl, and then eventually she evolved into having her own title in Marvel Comics under the Star Wars head. She's Star Wars Dr. Aphra, and this retells that story from the Darth Vader comics, her introduction into that world, but from Dr. Aphra's perspective. It also touches on the Vader Down crossover event miniseries, and there was a period where Dr. Aphra actually went over and became part of the main Star Wars title. She became a character in that for like 3 or 4 issues. So those are covered in here as well. And then it wraps up at the end of that first run of Darth Vader, that first volume when they did 25 issues, kind of ends with a nice little climax. So this will catch you up on the character of Dr. Aphra. If you don't know who Dr. Aphra is, you'll learn all about how she got introduced into the world of Star Wars and interacts with the characters that we know and love already. And then it wraps up. It'll catch you right up to where the main Dr. Aphra title itself starts, her own title. So you could listen to this and then dive into the Star Wars Dr. Aphra, the volume 1 that started in December of 2016, and that went for like 40 issues. So that's where you'd have to pick up after listening to this audiobook. Obviously, Star Wars is ever expanding, this giant interconnected tapestry of stories. So this is a good way, it was a good recap actually for me, who had read all those comics when they first came out. And I actually found myself pulling out the comics from my box and reading through, following along with the story. Kind of had to skip around a couple different issues to figure out where they were going, but pretty truthful, pretty faithful adaptation to what those original comics presented 5 years ago when they were coming out. And then the author, Sarah Kuhn, has done a good job of actually filling out the story, because this is told from Dr. Aphra's point of view, her perspective through narration. So we don't see what Darth Vader is up to when he goes off by himself, but we do fill in those gaps with flashbacks to Aphra's youth when she's going to college and a romance that she has there that kind of pays off a little bit later in the story. So yeah, definitely recommend Dr. Aphra. Star Wars Dr. Aphra, an audiobook original, and that's available now as well. And we're going to wrap up this episode of Star Wars book reviews by talking about a kid's book. It's called Star Wars Use the Force, Discover What It Takes to Be a Jedi. And this is just a guide for younger kids about what the Jedi are all about. So kids are probably just getting introduced to Star Wars. It's important to keep that the fandom going, keep the younger kids interested in Star Wars. And this is a book that's going to help them do that. If they keep it on their bedside table, read a little bit each night, they'll know all about the Jedi and the Force. And this is kind of written from an in-universe perspective as well, but it's a little bit more meta, and it's got a lot more humor and a lot more little cartoonish type drawings in it as well. But they'll walk you through the important events in Jedi history, the important characters in Jedi history, and then, obviously they go through the events of the prequels and then up into the sequel trilogy, through the original trilogy and then up into the sequel trilogy with Rey and her continuing the legacy of the Jedi as well. So yeah, that's a good book for the younger kids who are just getting into Star Wars and want to know what's a Jedi, specifically focused on the Jedi. They don't talk about the other factions and stuff. This is really just about the Jedi Order. But it was a lot of fun. So those are the 3 Star Wars books that I've read recently. Again, check out my Star Wars podcast, Who's the Boss? But I'll put a link here in the description. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you real soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.